One at. Greetings to you. I have a topic that I talked about a lot previously, but I have some repetition of it, and I chose a method that combines seriousness and laughter, which is about gangs for mind control in Iraq, which, with all merit, has become the #1 gang without any competitor at all. They are wrong and try to impose themselves and wrong laws they know by themselves. It contradicts all law and human rights and all the monotheistic religions and all legitimacy, and they want to impose it as a matter of fact. Unfortunately, this filthy gang used to exploit the name of God and a sacred issue, which is the Holy Spirit, for their interests. The same also was the one who was attacking the international forces in Iraq and inciting people here inside Iraq against the United States of America and the countries of Europe by spreading lies and rumors against them. This is their dirty truth. They are an epidemic in every sense of the one at. I will also refer to a type of victim of this gang who are victims of choice, and they are the worst kind at all, and they are a group of people inside Iraq who have the worst luck falling into the trap of this gang, or they are poor and weak, are being hunted. All of these are made into a scapegoat or a body exploited by the leader of the gang that made himself a prophet, and this is always hidden and does not appear at all, but uses a hoax similar to the devil we have in the body of a person and exploits him. Here this gang leader uses a method of slicing for mind control on such kind of victims, and in this way he can spy on the victim so that he can see and hear through her body, then continues to lead members of his gang, which he called a sacred organization, and every victim exploits our body, gives our period, and then changes it as if it were shoes. Of course, the victim of choice is nothing but a body only, or looks like a column carrying a camera and only moves.
Be driven to insanity and death, and you just become a tick in a box without any so much as a feeling. Yeah, and this is what they do, and this is why they are above the law. One of the experiments was to take an ordinary sane person, cause insanity, and have a psychiatrist who was unknown to everybody diagnose schizophrenia or paranoia or a psychiatric illness. That was a successful outcome, and the person would spend the rest of their life in an asylum in misery. But to the government, they are going to, in my opinion, commit the worst genocide this planet has ever known. Not just people, but animals, plants. There are 100 years' time. People will look back, whoever survives, and look at what we try to do to stop them.
It's time to act, to claim that birth.
Just your microwave oven causes cancer, brain tumor, deteriorates DNA, does not allow you to sleep restfully, makes you nervous, gives you chemical sensitivities, and a whole slew of other things that have been identified in Europe and are now falling under the classification of a consequence of electrosmog, and the illness disability is called hypersensitivity. But truthfully, this little clip is not about electro-hypersensitivity. This little clip is about the fact that we have an emergency going on and nobody is noticing.
You get this, it's going to feel a little bit weird at first. This is going to feel like when you lose your free will and someone else becomes your agent, it does feel a bit strange. So I want you to relax your hand. All right, and Sam, you're with me? All right, so you're gonna squeeze. I'm not going to turn it on yet, so go ahead and give it a squeeze. All right?
To that, now we take some of the steps that the gang is taking to prepare the victim of choice so that her body can enter the devil or take advantage of her body first. I want to say that the hope of escaping the victim of choice in Iraq is very weak because this gang is the one who controls Iraq. This means that they are not gangs outside of the law only, but they are the ones who rule this, so it will be very difficult. Also, this gang is chosen from the poor or the weaker who have no power or money and no people stand with them, as these are very easy fishing and will not come to them any harm from them, and as usual the gang makes the victim's family or friends to it or acquaintances. They are all dependent on her, and these are those who forge the characteristics of the victim, making them appear to be something. Of course, the victim does not know this.
You don't have to push me through the door. We just walk in
Why
gently.
you do those kind of things?
Walk in gently.
Go ahead.
After you.
Go ahead. Come on.
I'll see you later.
There's the way out.
3 at 3 There is something that the gang has trained in professional cadres with all kinds of lying and deception, and they are studying the victim so well that they know, for example, what you like or hate in others so that they can prepare plans to make them go what they want. For example, they use the game of horse and carrot, which is the most important method they have, and they use internet technology and others in creating islands that the victim runs behind. Of course, this carrot is an illusion that is just something like a mirage in the desert. Of course, this carrot may be a woman, a job, a security, or even a homosexual, etc. Various types of lying, fraud, and fraud. This is why victims fall so easily. 4. Another thing the gang is doing is confiscating the victim or making it a victim of slavery belonging to it. I mean, the laws of slavery and slavery are applied to them so that they lose all their civil rights. I mean, they have nothing in them until their body and they have become her puppet they have. They only control them with everything until their relationship with others are the ones who define it for her, so that she does not have the right to choose friends also, even the phone or email and every social network or any type of communication. They control it, but they are the ones who sell and buy with them. Among them also have no voice. No matter how much she speaks, no one will recognize any word to her, and it is funny that this fact is reversed by the elements of this gang. I mean, it is known only within the gang, but for those outside the gang, they will hear different lies about the victim. For example, they say that they are a leader against them or someone who records them to them or they work for them, but they do not say how much they give. She has a salary or makes someone from her who has half the gang or who has a position or money and follow etc. from lies and these.
Called into court by themselves and individually explain why they did that and what was the reason for it and their justification to do it. They need their day in court instead of doing everything in secret. They never come out and tell anybody what they're really doing or what their real understanding or secret interpretation is. That's because they're too afraid. They're cowards. They're hiding behind a secret interpretation applied.
It must be under there somewhere.
Have it. Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. I'm doing business with a customer. You see the lemon there?
Yeah.
See how simple it is? Now watch it. Go watch my hand. Just watch the shell. Now it's underneath one of those shells. Now what shell do you think it's under?
$10.
$10.
There it is.
No, it wasn't there. Now you see?
Hey, now, can anybody play this game?
Sure.
Well, come on, boy.
All right.
I got some money. I opened my piggy bank up.
Okay, now
I
here.
just spent a lot of money at this charity affair.
Well, that's for one. Now look here. Shells. Empty? Absolutely empty. There's a lemon.
I gotta find a lemon.
Now watch it. Now keep your eye on the lemon. Now that's all there is to it. Now there you are.
This one over here.
$10. $10.
Here it is over here.
No, it wasn't there.
Here it is.
Can you imagine? You both lost that time.
Would you mind giving us another chance,
With
please?
pleasure. With pleasure.
There's no pleasure attached to this. I'm losing.
It all goes.
$10?
$10.
I bet $10.
$10, right.
Make with the coconuts.
They're off. The race is over. You lose. Wait, come on. What kind of stuff is this? Wait a minute. They're off. The race is over. I lose. I didn't even bet. I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, come on. Run that race over again and run it slow motion.
The man is right.
Wait a minute. You know the name of the horse you bet on?
That's got nothing to do with it. I mean,
What is the name of the horse you bet on?
Well, how do you expect to win when you don't even know the name of the horse?
Man's right. Man's right. Now this time, double up on him. Bet $20.
$20 my eye.
My eye? That's a good horse. $20 to win. My eye.
They're off. The race is over. You lose.
What is this? What's coming off here?
What room are we playing in?
Now wait a minute.
Hey, listen to Spot's Globe.
The bananas. Get some bananas.
Yeah, we want you some. How much are bananas?
For you, Luigi, special price. 5 cents a piece. 3 for 25.
5 cents each.
Better get 3 of them.
Yeah, give me 3 of them, Special.
All right. That's fine.
Thank you. Hey, wait a minute. There's only 2 bananas here.
That's 3 bananas.
No, there's 2 bananas here. You said 3 for
I can explain on you. Huh?
Yeah.
That's 1 banana, Angie.
Yeah.
That's 2 banana, Angie.
Yeah.
1 banana, 2 banana, that's 3 bananas.
Yeah, that's it. There's still 2 bananas. I don't know. You keep quiet and go, it's 2 bananas.
That's you not go to school or something?
Now count them again, but that's, I want the 3 bananas.
That's 1 banana, don't you?
Yeah.
That's 2 bananas, don't you?
Yeah.
1 banana, 2 bananas, that's 3 bananas.
Yeah. That's 1 banana, what he says. 2 bananas, Angie. 1 and... Come on, now give me the 3 bananas here.
Come on,
I don't care. I'm not stupid, but I...
1 banana, don't you? 2 banana, don't you? 1
7-out video. I mean, what happens is nothing but a mockery in the full meaning of the word, and it is similar to this video clip when a child is thrown at a person and the owner of the child remains watching the person while he is confused about this. This is the same thing with this deviliness. His game is revealed in the beginning and he is justified before he exploits the victim. He will catch hysteria. He wants to lead his gang while he is hitting the victim's body, and he wants the victim to accept this and behave as if she is the one who leads this gang while he remains stuck as if he is a cow and there is a jet or clover close to it, as it will still take advantage of any opportunity. Here the victim disavows this evil, but he remains in wait, and as soon as the victim goes to anyone and forgets to warn him, this spy comes to him in order to deceive him and forge the traits of the victim. Of course, if there was a donkey until he sat in the position of law in Iraq, this devil would not have stayed for 1 second. Thus, no one takes any legal action with this terrorist villain, even though his violation is very clear, but a farce. Note that this is not a choice, but rather a mischief in the full meaning of the word on the victim's head, and it has no benefit from it with anything but harm from the past viewer. Itchy also that this devil claims that if the victim left the place where she is, or did not eat and drink, or did not speak to anyone who holds the nationality of the place in which she is going to stop using her name and create a gang that makes her claim that the victim is responsible for her, or whoever registers for it or chooses to her. Notice the recklessness. I mean, the game is very clear. He is a gang leader who is looking for a scapegoat for him in order to create a gang and make him a front for him. Here is a question why this always hides, and the reason does not appear that he is a despicable terrorist also. The gang that he creates are thieves and gangs and are not a respectable organization at all. That there are perhaps very intuitive things and they are common questions. For example, why does a gang chase a victim and spend a lot of money in such operations and pay money to elements that settle the victim's reputation or provoke them as they pursue them wherever they go? There are also torture programs with weapons for mind control, etc. All this is done by the gang. But why do not you kill the victim directly? Then this will be less expensive for her. Do you not do this because of a fear of the law, for example, or a fear of the victim? Here the answer to this question is that the gang killed many of the victims of the choice directly because they either found that they were totally refusing to become a scapegoat, or they revealed the gang's games at the beginning, noting the gang tried a lot to kill me, in various known ways, including shooting more than once and also other attempts here. What is going on of chases and torture is for the victims who the gang thinks that there is hope that taming them means these victims rebelled, but they do not know exactly for what, and I mean they did not know something with them. Perhaps they only knew what the gang wanted them to know. I mean, for example, a rebellion against the carrot, which is the bait that makes the victim runs after him. For example, something the victim loves. I mean, it may be a certain behavior or something. I have discovered that they have thus refused to run after him. This type is the one who is subjected to such a kind of chase, and he is the type who does not know that he is carrying the gang leader inside his body and thinks something else is very far from this example. He imagines the issue is related to faith in God or something else, but the victims that reveal the real reason these are killed directly, as I would like to reveal his lie related to this type of victims, and it is the doctor's trick and a matter of mind control. I mean, I know that the victims did not leave anything but 9 and I tried it to get rid of waves for mind control, but how do these waves stop completely when one of the members of this gang, for example, one of the victim's family members or friends or acquaintances, takes the victim to the perfume that is not given to her by any simple things, but the mind control will stop? For what is the secret here? It is simple. It is the gang that made him stop, and it was a selection game, because this person who went with the victim is one of the gang members and was chosen for him to be a leader, and who chose him is the victim, and this is according to the tricks of this gang. Of course, this is attained gain by a mind control weapon there. For example, another thing is that the waves subside when the victim travels from one person to another, meaning there are people, or for example, the victim's family home, which is the place where the waves are condensed for mind control. But when the victim comes out of it or goes to other elements of this gang, these waves are mitigated to it, or when you eat some kinds of foods, or when you talk to a big or small person, or think about the victim. Of course, the victim does not know that her family and the people you know have become elements in this gang. Another thing is that who plays this game is the leader of the spy gang. These are all elements that led them, but they are divided into two halves, half adults, and they are the ones that make light waves. Either you go to the doctor or work, etc. I mean, only they are the ones who make the waves stop. It is a challenge to the law completely by this gang. It is the person who makes a person get sick and treat it with their hands only.
Lou, this is Mr. Fields, our landlord's brother. He runs this employment agency. He's going to get a job for you.
Mr. Costello, just fill out this application. Right there. You are? Let me see.
Go ahead. What is this test?
What's the matter?
Do you see this very unusual-looking object?
Unusual.
No, this is the test. You get one chance and one chance only. You understand? Now look, you've got to make this object, this little wheel, spin without touching it with your hands. Can you do it? He did it! He did it! He did it!
All right, you're all set, boy.
Listen, brother, will you please, let's get out of here and get another job someplace? I mean, he don't know from no jobs in here.
What do you mean you don't know?
That's a big thing.
Sober and of good habits, to take rocket ship to the moon. Must be willing to travel.
Let's get out of here.
Will you keep quiet? Look around there, Mr. Fields. Just scrimmage.
I got plenty of job, but this, I don't know what he can do.
I can do anything, but I don't want to go to the moon.
Let me see, oh, this is a very important...
Sit down. Don't be nervous. I have an appointment for my friend Lou Costello.
Won't you be seated? The doctor will be with you as soon as he can.
Thank you. Don't be nervous. You're amongst friends.
Contact!
You're suffering from paranoia. You must stop seeing things which are not there. Forget your hallucinations and mirages and believe only what you actually see. Now, to illustrate my point further, I would like to show you in my book. You see, sometimes we think we see, but we are not sure. Oh, dear me. I'm sure of one thing only. I better go see my psychiatrist. Excuse me.
Tenat. It is true that the gang with the victim is not familiar with it. Sometimes it is like a group of scammers who met around a foolish or simple person and started playing on him in a way that makes him become a farce and something laughable. They who laugh at him, for example, make him a guard from them, and this guard is different from what we all know, and he is supposed to take orders from the person who made him a guard, but with these scammers the situation is different. This guard does not take any order from the person, but if he goes to him, for example, he will make him want to work for him too. He is not allowed to take anything. They also have a game called a test, and this is a farce like no other, but rather it is a murder. In the full sense of the word, firstly, the victim does not work with them, and she did not apply for an appointment that they had to conduct a choice for her. Also, she does not have a position, so that there is an example of a proficiency test. For example, this is the first departure from every law. Secondly, they will kill the victim when they plant slices of mind control and programs are implemented in the victim's brain, and this killed in the full sense of the word. They killed many of the victims of the choice. This also has health damages that cannot be treated at all. It will happen. I don't want to talk about other damages, which are financial, moral, and losing everything to it has defamation and others, but I am talking about a fundamental point, which is killing by means of mind control. This means only that it makes the designation of a test as a mistake. It is completely killing something that is similar to eating poison and some die quickly, while the rest will be delayed a little. For example, does the gang know this is a murder with previously? Persistence and surveillance is something like bringing a foolish person and throwing him from the top of a high mountain, and you say that you are testing against those who laugh.
You see the content of your email or, your wife's phone calls or anything like that. All I have to do is use what's called a selector, any kind of thing in the communications chain that might uniquely or almost uniquely identify you as an individual. And I'm talking about things like email addresses, IP addresses, phone numbers, credit cards, even passwords that are unique to you that aren't used by anyone else. I can input those into the system, and it will not only go back through the database and go, have I seen this anywhere in the past? It will basically put an additional level of scrutiny on it moving into the future that says, if this is detected now or at any time in the future, I want this to go to me immediately and alert me in real time.
Operator.
Wrong number.
I didn't even ask her nothing. It just says operator. What's the matter with her? He got it back. Operator, will you please give me Alexander 4444?
Line's busy.
How dare you laugh on my birthday?
11 at that the issue is like a mood of a monster completely. For example, a hyena is not going to chase prey aggressively, but when you go hungry the situation will differ. This means that there is no law prohibiting him in the first case or allowed him to the second, but it is only a mood because he does not recognize any law other than what he wants. This exactly the same style of this gang.
I order you to kill Kalchu!
Chi-Ching, my new secretary no longer takes your orders. And what...
من فو ووحوش اليوفو؟ لا، جئت لأفحص قدراتكم الحقيقية. كانت ضعيفة كما توقعت. قدرت استحالة أن تهزموا دوك فليد بقوتكم. اعتني بألفاظك يا جورمان. وأنت اعتني بلغتك يا بلاكي. بلاكي، قم عن الكرسي. ماذا؟ إنه لقائد العربة الأم، وأنا هو القائد. أسرع واترك الكرسي. أيها الكاس. هل تقف في وجهي؟ أجل أصفع. تصفعني. أجل. عند تثبيت جنجن سنذهب. استعدوا.
واغرب عن وجهي يا عديم الفائدة. قال إن سن
be me. I look over at the mirror over here. I don't want to be you. Don't be that way. Tattoo is awesome.